film some videos, and even though it is dark outside at the moment, it just got too dark to film anything. I always run into time. I've been very busy today, you know, with TAFE and stuff, so trying to get time to film. So I'm definitely trying. I've got my studio light back again because it's actually my dad's light because he has a YouTube channel too. So he stole it back and I stole it again. So I can illuminate myself. So I'm very happy about that. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a book review today, and the book I'm going to be talking about is The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This was such an amazing book. I finished reading this yesterday and I loved it so much. It was so good. I can't get over how good this story was. Jennifer L. Armentrout is such an amazing writer, and I just can't. I've read 10 of her books now and I want to read like everything ever. So hopefully I'll be reading Half-Blood soon and I can get that whole series down, and then I'll have to cry because there's nothing else for me to read that she wrote. I can't. But I seriously loved this so much. 5 out of 5 stars. It's become one of my favorite books and I just can't. And the cover, man. How pretty is it? Look at it. It goes all the way around and it's like so pretty. So pretty. Definitely a favorite and definitely pretty. I'll warn you guys now, there will be spoilers in this video, but it'll probably be like in the more later half of the story. It's just there's some things I want to talk about that happen in this book and I can't talk about it without spoiling it. So I'm just telling you now, forewarning, spoilers in this video. But anyway guys, so this story is about a girl named Mallory, and she's been in the system for most of her life. She had a really bad upbringing as a child. She was living in this house and she was always getting abused, and it was domestic violence, and so many bad things happened to her, and it was really sad. And once a really big incident happened, she got taken to a hospital and these doctors found her and they adopted her. So for the past 4 years she's been living a life of like having a better life, and she's not having to live with these horrible things around her anymore. And for the past couple of years she's also been homeschooled. So this is a really good, this is really good for her, because like Mallory, she had such a shitty life and she's been put into this life of loving and comfort because it's just what she needs, but she just feels like it's like not even real because what she went through for 13 years of her life, and now it's just gotten so much better for her, which is really good. As she's been homeschooled, she's never actually been to a proper school. So her final year of school, which is going to be her senior year, she decides to go to a public school. And she is very worried about it because with Mallory, she was conditioned as a child to never speak. So every time she speaks, she was hurt, and she was also always told to not make a sound. So she has a lot of trouble talking to people around her, like strangers, anyone. Like she talks to her family barely, and she's not mute, but she has such trouble connecting and trying to really get her words out, and that makes it very difficult for her to have new experiences because people just dismiss her because she doesn't talk. But one thing that she does discover when she goes to this school is Ryder, and he was the boy that was living with her at the house that she was at as a child, and he always protected her. He always tried to keep the violence away from her. He was so good to her, and Ryder was practically her whole world. So when she walked into her class, saw him sitting there, it was just such an intense moment for her that she was so overwhelmed, and for him to notice it as well. Like seriously, they haven't seen each other for 4 years, and to be at the same school was such a different experience for them. And it's so nice of them to be able to rekindle their relationship, which I was really excited about. But I seriously was like so excited when I was reading this book because it's such an interesting concept to have her find this guy that she hasn't seen for years and to be able to rekindle their relationship. And I really enjoyed it, and this book is filled with a lot of different dramas, a lot of things she has to overcome, and Ryder as well, because they both lived in this shitty upbringing. There's left scars on them that really don't fade. But that is pretty much the gist of what happens in this story, and now I'm going to be talking about some of the stuff that you won't know from what I just told you. So guys, I really loved this story, and it was just so good. Like the elements that Jennifer L. Armentrout put in there about social work and how like there's caseworkers who go around looking in houses, but this house is somehow overlooked. It was really sad because Mallory and Ryder were always abused, and Ryder looked after her, and he was the one that was always, you know, getting her to hide in the cupboard and telling her to be quiet, and that is where the conditioning came in of her not being able to really speak. And it was really good that they finally got out of the situation. Like Ryder, he went to a group home, and Ryder's been living in a house with Hector and Jaden, and he was taken in so the mother could get money for him, even though that's not a good reason for him to be living there. He does have a good home life. And Mallory with Elle and Rosa, who are her new parents, because they adopted her. So it's nice that they've gone into these new situations. And what really led to this happening was Mallory, she had this toy called Velvet that Ryder stole from her when he was at the shops once, and she loved it with all her heart. Mr. Henry, who was the guy that looked after them but really didn't, he was an asshole. He decided because she did something wrong, he chucked her doll in the fire, and Mallory went after it because it was the only thing that she owned that was solely hers. And it was really sad because when she ran in there, I think she got pushed to stay in there, so she got burns all up her arms and her back. And Ryder, he didn't see her after that, so for most of the time he thought she was dead, and when he saw her he was so just like, my god. But it was really sad, but it was nice that Rosa and Carl, her new parents, are doctors, so they saved her, and then they learned her story and found it so horrific that they took her in and saved her from that. But it's really horrible what happened to her, and it's something she's always had, you know, had to think about. Like, she got skin grafts so that like she just looks normal, like she's just a bit pink, so she's not really scarred from it, but it's the internal scars that really got her. But it was just, it's so good that they were able to rekindle their relationship though. And the one thing though that annoyed me, because the whole time I was thinking, you know, Mallory and Ryder got to get together at some point, but really annoyed me is at the beginning Ryder already had a girlfriend. And she was only added into the story because, you know, Mallory and him couldn't just get together, but I was really annoyed because I didn't want Ryder to be a cheater. I didn't want him to be cheating on his girlfriend and falling in love with Mallory while he was with his girlfriend Paige. And Paige was awful to Mallory. She was always saying, don't, you know, stay back. He's told me about you and you're not taking him from me. And, you know, Mallory couldn't say anything to her because she was so scared. It was really, like, bad too, because then Ryder ended up breaking up with her because he didn't want to be with her anymore because you know, Mallory's in his life again and he's got someone to protect and to be a part of his life. And he did break up with her, so I was very happy that he broke up with her, but the relationship was quite short-lived that he and Paige had in the story, so I didn't think it was really a good element to have in the story. And I was annoyed though that Paige kept being a bit, you know, grumpy and in your face the whole story, because she's all like, you're gonna break up, guys, you aren't gonna stay together, everything bad is gonna happen. And it did, but I didn't like the addition of Paige. She just really annoyed me, and I didn't think she added to the story at all. So that was one point that I really was kind of annoyed with the story. Another thing though with Mallory that I didn't add before is she actually was a part of speech class. So what this is that you do a class where you learn how to do public speaking, and of course she can't do this because she doesn't really talk. So this is a good way for her to learn, but it's very bad because like she's always running out of the speeches because she can't do it, and she ends up doing them during lunchtime. But I'm very happy by the end of the book she was able to do speeches in class. Like, that was really good. I was happy that she was able to like really get into things that way. Also too, with this story, I really loved the romance between Ryder and Mallory, and it was so I was so happy when it happened because it was so much build up of this happening and then it finally happened, and I was so happy they were together and they were so adorable together. Like, they have such a good relationship, and even though they have a shared past, I still think they really do love each other now. And even though there was a lot of issues with Ryder, because Mallory always thought she was the damaged one and he always had to protect her, but Ryder actually has a real problem with seeing what he has. Like, he always feels like he's not, you know, people don't give up on him, people don't care about him, like he doesn't feel like his family loves him, he doesn't really feel like he's worth Mallory, and he doesn't want to go to college because he doesn't think he's good enough. And it's been ingrained in him for so long to think that way, that Mallory, like, she doesn't know what to do. And it was really sad when he broke up with her because he's like, I'm just going to end up letting you down, so I just want to stop now before we even try. I was really happy that Mallory found her voice. Like, she's always talked to Ryder because he was a really big part of her life, but she really found her voice in that moment, and she was like, no, you know what, you're breaking up with me just because you're scared and don't want to put the effort into our relationship. And I was just so happy that she finally found the words to be able to speak that. And then when she had to give her final speech about the people who mattered to her most, she talked about Ryder, and she was all like, you know, you are a big part of my life and now you've ruined it. And I was so happy at the end though when he's all telling her that he really accepted the fact that he, you know, how his life is and how he does live his life, and he was all like, I'm so sorry, I'm going to try and get into college, because he's really good at art. That's what he was really having a lot of fun with, was doing his different arts. Like he does painting prints on cars, which I thought was really cool, and I really liked that aspect of the story because I really like art. Art's always fun, and like Mallory carved sculptures out of soap, which I thought was really cool as well. But I was really sad that Ryder didn't think he was good enough for college, and Mallory tried. She got him applications, she got him like portfolios, and she was really trying to help him do things. But I really did like that she got to him in the end and he flipped himself around and was able to do things. And like, even from the get-go, he was always being his protective self to her, and even though Ryder's always like, no, you're white knight, like I want to protect you, but I'm really not a good person. And that was something really too like heavily involved in the story, is talking about him being a bad guy, but he really wasn't. So I was really kind of like with that. But you know what else was really annoying is there was someone died in the book, and it was really, really sad, and I didn't expect it to happen. Hector and Jaden are Ryder's foster brothers, and like Hector's a really good guy. He works at McDonald's. He's always had a good life, but Jaden, he's been doing stuff with drugs, like running it for people and selling it, and Ryder used to do it, but he stopped because it was really, he didn't want to get in too deep, and he was lucky. But it was really sad because they were all at like a get-together party, and Jaden was there, and then as everyone's leaving, a truck pulled up and shot him, and he died in that moment. And that really set into motion Mallory wanting to be a better person and really speak up and not let stuff like this happen again, and then Ryder wanting to go in on himself because he felt like it was his fault, and he felt like everything was his fault. And it was so sad. Jaden was such an important character in this story, and I really loved him, and it was really sad when he died. I was just like I didn't cry because I don't cry, I'm just emotional. I'm emotional, but I just seriously loved Jaden so much. It was really sad. Also, another character that was really important, who was Ainsley, who was Mallory's best friend, and she's homeschooled as well, so that's how they met each other. They were both in a homeschooling program where you got to meet each other like probably every every month or so, and Ainsley like slowly got into under Mallory's skin and got into learning her, so Mallory talks to her, which is really good. I loved the story with Ainsley too, and she was always so much fun. It was really sad too finding out that she was going to go blind in a couple of years because she's been having problems with her eyes. And she was always talking about how her eyes were always hurting, so it's really sad that she's going to go blind later on. Like, so much bad happened in this book, but it was still so really good. Really, I loved it so much. But there is one thing I do have to complain about, is it felt a lot of like, you know, you went to school, oh, I went to lunch, oh, and then I went to speech class, oh, and then Ryder looked at me, oh, and then I went home and I talked to my friends, oh, and then it was speech class, and then it was school, and then it was the same. Like, it was very repetitive in the sense that nothing was really happening, and there might have been a difference where Ryder was like, looked at her, or he said something to her, or Paige did something this time, or Hector did something this time. And it was kind of a bit repetitive. Like, they always went to the movies, or she was always not able to go to that party. It was just a bit repetitive. So with this book being nearly 500 pages, it was quite long, and it probably could have been minimized with not as much of that. But besides that, I still really liked the story. I had a lot of fun reading it, and I seriously love Jennifer Armentrout so much, and I can't wait to read more of her books. But anyway guys, thanks for watching this book review. I hope you'd enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. Bye!